organization, regardless of size, every micro business, every small business, even small scale SME, every single one needs to be thinking about their cybersecurity posture, needs to be cyber aware. Hackers do not determine in terms of business size. They will go for whatever size business that they can, if they can get through, and regardless of size. Another area as well is the amount of bullying and abuse that goes on within our industry is absolutely rife, and I've been subjected to it. I've had some incredibly traumatic experiences with bullying and abuse at the hands of others in organizations that chose to target me.
Welcome to the VPNRanks podcast. Today we are thrilled to have Lisa Ventura with us. Lisa is a cybersecurity expert, the founder of Cybersecurity Unity, and an advocate for mental health, neurodiversity, and building a safer online world. She has been recognized as one of the most influential voices in cybersecurity, and she is here to share her journey and insights with us. So welcome, Lisa. It's an honor to have you on the show today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much for having me.
My first question for you is that you have been a strong advocate for making cybersecurity a shared responsibility, right? So how do you think businesses and individuals can develop a genuine cybersecurity culture that sits beyond training session?
Absolutely. So I transitioned into the cybersecurity industry back in 2009. And over the years, I've seen so much great work being done in the industry, so many great initiatives and things going on. Traditionally, though, it tends to be quite siloed. So it might be that, some great piece of work is going on, and then another area doesn't sort of know that's going on, and it's all sort of in different pockets and so on. And that was the ethos behind launching Cybersecurity Unity, which, as the name suggests, was to try and bring as much together under one roof within the cybersecurity industry, create that overarching knowledge hub of everything that's going on, all the different bodies, initiatives, great work being done. And also fostering that greater collaboration and shared responsibility within organizations for cybersecurity. And again, traditionally, cyber's always either fallen by the wayside, or it's kind of been pushed to the IT. Oh, it's IT's problem. It's they can sort it out and so on. And I actually believe that empowering organizations and individuals within those organizations to be a lot more cyber aware on a day-to-day basis can really help and cascade down into organizations. So a lot of what I do in terms of the training is around using those real world examples that affect people in their day-to-day lives. Because we're all online, we're all digital today, and I think that there's not one person that's not affected by it. So if we can empower people to think about their security posture, how they're operating online and so on, that can really help to cascade down into organizations.
So in your experience with Cybersecurity Unity, what common misconceptions do you experience regarding cybersecurity, and how do you think it should be addressed to foster a more informed community?
Absolutely. So I do a lot of work, particularly with smaller businesses and smaller size SMEs. And it astounds me when I speak to a lot of them that even today in 2024, I'll start talking to them about cybersecurity, and then I'll get stopped and they'll go, well, we're too small. A hacker isn't going to bother with us. So it's not something that we need to think about or worry about. And my head I just go, oh, no, really, because every organization, regardless of size, every micro business, every small business, even small scale SME, every single one needs to be thinking about their cybersecurity posture, needs to be cyber aware. Hackers do not determine in terms of business size. They will go for whatever size business that they can, if they can get through, and regardless of size. So that's definitely one myth that I talk about a lot in terms of myth busting. And with that one, I always say as well, assume for 1 minute that that's actually true, and we all know that it isn't true, but hypothetically, say that business is too small, that the hacker isn't going to bother with them. How do they know that their supply chain is as secure as they can be? So all the businesses that they operate with, that they do business with, their partners and so on, how are they sure that those businesses are as cyber aware as they can be? If one of their supply chain has an issue, that could easily cascade down onto that organization. And I think as well, a lot of small businesses, they might be in particular fields, your average, say, plumber or builder or, tradesman or so on. They might not be as cyber because they just don't understand it. And I also get a bit annoyed as well when I see a lot of the technical jargon and acronyms and things that are out there. And that definitely can confuse a lot of people, and they'll just look at it and think, whoa, that's just too much for me. I don't understand it, so I'm not going to worry about it or bother with it. And it turns into a very much sort of head in the sand approach until it's too late. And this is why I love the work that the National Cyber Resilience Centre Network is doing in the UK, because they actually have a centre in every region of the UK. And London, the London Cyber Resilience Centre, is really leading the way on this, because they have a team of volunteers and they go out, and it's all police led, and they go out into different London boroughs, and they will actually go into every business and actually talk to them face to face about cybersecurity. They will leave them with actions and small things that those businesses can do to help improve their cyber posture, and provide that advice for them completely free of charge. Because another myth as well is that it's going to cost a lot of money to put a lot of these measures in place. And there's actually a lot of things that organizations can do that are either for free or very cost effective.
I've seen that you are a very few of the people who are really passionate about addressing the human side of cybersecurity, right? So, what are some often overlooked human factors that make us more vulnerable to cyber threats?
Absolutely. So we all love to get something for free, and hackers know this. And so they will craft a lot of their phishing email attempts offering some sort of free voucher or free sum of money in order for filling out a survey or doing something. And that's a common thing that can catch people out. Also, as well, another big human factor that I talk about a lot is around CEO fraud or email fraud that impersonates key people from organizations. And it could be the chief financial officer or the CEO or something like that. And hackers can then spoof email addresses, making it look like it's come from those key people. And it's usually along the lines of, I need you to transfer this sum of money really quickly and let me know that you've done it. Or I need you to buy this gift card and send it to this email address and let us know that you've done it. And I see a lot of organizations falling victim to that. I do a lot of work at the moment with an organization called Qualitest, and Qualitest are a global software testing and quality engineering organization. And whenever they have a investment round of funding, and that investment round goes out into the press and to the mainstream media, that's when the CEO fraud really starts to ramp up. And we start getting a lot of emails pertaining to be from the CEO of Qualitest, saying exactly what I mentioned earlier of transfer this sum of money or do this. So I think it's vital that organizations have that as part of their training as well. And again, keeping on top of those phishing email simulations and keeping an eye for those things of get this gift voucher for doing this and so on. It's like, really nothing is ever, totally free. So definitely looking at all of those elements, I think, is really important.
The timing of this interview is very commendable, if I say that we recently celebrated both Cybersecurity Awareness Month and Mental Health Day, right? So,
Yeah.
as a mental health coach and a cybersecurity expert, I would love to know your thoughts on how these topics intersect. Like, how can we keep promoting cybersecurity awareness while also focusing on our mental health?
Absolutely. So, a lot of studies, and there's been a lot of press about how cybersecurity has a huge amount of stress, burnout, and those with mental health issues. And a lot of the factors around that, and particularly for CISOs that can be affected by this, is because there is this conception that we always have to be on 24/7, always looking for the threats, always looking at what's going on and trying to mitigate them. And I think as well, particularly for CISOs, where there have been some high profile cases where cyber attacks and data breaches have occurred, the CISO has been in the firing line for that, and has even been prosecuted in some quite so high profile cases. So there is always that fear of, if I'm not monitoring all the 24/7, something is going to go wrong, and that leads to a tremendous amount of stress and burnout. So I think that we absolutely need to keep promoting cybersecurity awareness. And I always say it's great that we have the month of October for it, don't get me wrong, but I see it as a all year round thing, that you can never take your foot off the gas, so to speak, when it comes to cybersecurity and cybersecurity awareness. And it is wonderful we've got the month of October to focus on it, but I promote it very much as an all year round thing. And I think organizations really need to look after their key people, particularly in cybersecurity. A lot of people have left the industry because of the high stress and burnout and mental health issues and so on that they've experienced. And it is a very high pressure world to be on top of all the threats that are coming in all the time, which is never going to happen. Even just in the short time I've been talking to you, there will be more threats coming out every second of every day, and we're never going to keep on top of it. So the advice I would give to organizations is look out for your staff, look out for any key changes or patterns or anything, and provide those well-being resources, provide those safe spaces as well, that your employees can go in and talk about what's going on and the pressure that they're under and so on, and having all that, I think, can really make a big positive difference.
That you mentioned about to look out for new cybersecurity threats and all. So we have AI into the picture right now. So what role do you see it playing in both enhancing cybersecurity and addressing its human aspects, like mental well-being and inclusivity in the workforce?
Absolutely. So I see a lot of things coming out with AI where it can be a little bit of a double-edged sword within cybersecurity. So it can be a great friend and ally. So it can detect threats a lot more quickly and easily. It can automate a lot of the key tasks within cyber as well. So that in that sense, it can be a great help. But it can also be a bit of a foe, in the sense that a lot of hackers I've seen have started to use a lot of these tools like ChatGPT and Copilot and Gemini and all of those to craft their phishing emails. So a lot of the traditional advice that we would normally give out to people, which is things like look at the spelling, look at the grammar, look at how it's constructed, to the average layperson, they might look at an email now and think it's genuine because it looks like it's been well crafted and put together. If you delve into the way it's been constructed a little bit more, there might be some other sort of red flags in terms of it being crafted by AI. But the average person, especially if we're all really busy and we all sort of look at something and we scan it, it's that little bit more difficult now to spot. But I think as well, certainly in terms of the mental health side, it can be quite a time saver. It can automate a lot of our sort of key repetitive tasks. So that could actually free up a lot more time that we can focus on ourselves a bit more and prioritize our self-care a little bit more by using these tools. I think it is a little bit sort of early days in terms of how it's all going, but I do see AI making a bit of a positive difference on that automation side and giving us all back a bit more time that we can use for ourselves.
Absolutely. So you have a lot of achievements in cybersecurity, and that is truly commendable. So what drives you to keep pushing boundaries in such a challenging and diverse field?
Absolutely. So I do a lot to try and support women into careers in cybersecurity and those from to more diverse backgrounds as well. And still today we see a lot more studies that there's still not enough women coming into the industry. In fact, one of the last studies, which I think was put out by IC Squared, showed that there was a very slight downward trajectory with slightly less women coming into the industry. And I believe that we need to inspire the next generation in schools, in colleges, in universities. And I would love to see a lot more work being done in that area. And there are some great initiatives that are out there to get more women and people from diverse backgrounds into the industry. SANS has a capture talent program that's launching soon that I'm involved with. Of course, the NCSC, the National Cybersecurity Centre, has got their Cyber First program, which is going on at the moment. There are others out there as well. And I think I'd like to really, to sort of dispel a lot of the myths. And a lot of women will say to me, it doesn't look very inviting to come into cybersecurity. And one of the things I talk about a lot is the imagery of cyber, because some of the things I've had said to me it doesn't look very inviting. It's all very, keep out with padlocks and shields and the colors and all very dark and so on. So I try to sort of talk about that and how we can try to change some of that dark imagery and get rid of the shields and the padlocks and all the subliminal keep out messaging to try and get more women into careers in cyber. And I would love to see a lot more people that are neurodivergent come into careers in cyber as well. I myself am neurodivergent. I was diagnosed with autism in 2018 and then ADHD on top of that last year. And although I struggle quite a bit with that on a day-to-day basis, I also have some my hyper focus can go through the roof, and it's also shown that those of us that are neurodivergent are really good at spotting patterns and have that sort of strong hyper focus on key tasks. And in a great big sort of line of code, if there's one full stop missing, I guarantee that the person that's neurodivergent will find that missing full stop that causes that code to just not work. So we do have some really, really great strengths for cybersecurity.
Thank you so much for mentioning this neurodiversity thing. My next question was related to it, and I've seen that you have been an active advocate for it, right? So can you share how neurodiverse perspectives bring unique strengths to the cybersecurity field, apart from that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned obviously the hyper focus and the pattern spotting. And also, a lot of us will work at, better at different times. For me, I'm not confined to what I call the sort of 9 to 5 rigid model. And there are times that I work a lot more effectively, and that could be sort of, really early in the morning or much, much later at night. And then I could be online, monitoring, things like that, and I might pick something up before a lot of my counterparts that are working during the day. So I would definitely say is, nurture those, those strengths that we have, and work with us in terms of the best times that we can work, because it can really stand organizations in good stead to not have us confined within that sort of, 9 to 5 or 9 to 5:30, mindset. I work much, much better in the mornings, for example, than I do in the afternoons and evenings.
So you also have the expertise in trauma-informed coaching, right? So what
Yeah,
do you think cybersecurity professionals can learn from trauma recovery
yeah,
practices, like especially
abs
in handling post-breach incidents and something
yeah.
of this sort?
Absolutely. So I think it's an area that often gets really overlooked is if the worst happens and an organization does have a cyber attack or a data breach, the trauma from that can manifest in PTSD. So I think it's really important that organizations can, provide support and resources in the event of an attack happening. And there's a big sense of failure as well. So I speak to a lot of people at organizations where it has happened, and they will always say to me that they feel that they failed massively because whatever they put in place just didn't stop it for whatever reasons. And I think it's an area that is really overlooked. And another area as well is the amount of bullying and abuse that goes on within our industry is absolutely rife, and I've been subjected to it. I've had some incredibly traumatic experiences with bullying and abuse at the hands of others in organizations that chose to target me. And I've found a couple of correlations that those of us that are neurodivergent are much more likely to be the targets of bullying and abuse. And we are also more likely to be targeted by those that display narcissistic personality traits or even full-blown narcissistic personality disorder in the workplace. And the trauma that can be left behind when you've had to deal with those organizations can be absolutely immense. And I've got absolutely genuine lived experience of this. And even today, certain things or certain traits of other people will trigger that time. So for example, I was talking to a absolutely lovely gentleman who was from the military, absolutely fantastic, but he came across very much like somebody that targeted me 2 or 3 years ago. And even then, the triggers were just, immense. So the advice I would give is please be vigilant to that and look after your employees, especially in the event of a cyber attack. And I have a zero tolerance approach now to bullying and abuse within the workplace. I hear so many horror stories of it. And the only advice I can give is if you find yourself in that situation, and especially if it's at the hands of somebody that has narcissistic personality traits or full-blown narcissistic personality disorder, I'm afraid to say that the only advice I can give is to look for another opportunity and get out of that organization and away from that person as soon as possible, because they won't change. They will never admit that they're in the wrong in any way. They are always perfect. They've never done anything wrong. And worst, I've seen HR departments actually side with those organizations, with those people, rather than the victims of bullying and abuse. So I definitely would say the only way out is to find another opportunity and get away from there as soon as you can.
Thank you so much for this most important advice and raising the most important issues. So my last question is that if you had to describe your cybersecurity philosophy as a movie title, so what it be?
Oh my goodness. Not so much a title, but a name, but a line from a particular film. So I'm a huge fan of the rock band Queen and Freddie Mercury. Fred is just the love of my life, but shh, don't tell my husband. Um, but I'm a huge fan of both. And when I saw the film Bohemian Rhapsody, um, there was a line in it which was fortune favors the bold, and that film came out in October 2018, and ever since then I've lived by that line. So I've always just gone for those opportunities, or if I've spotted something I want to get involved in and do, I will reach out about it. And I always live by that fortune favors the bold philosophy. And I just think, what's the worst that could happen? They say no, that's fine. Move on to the next opportunity or the next thing. I try not to sort of let those, no's bother me, because for all the no's, there will be a lot more yeses. So definitely always live by that fortune favors the bold, because you never know where it will take you, especially in cyber.
Interesting. So that's a wrap from our side. Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing your valuable insights and experiences with us today, and your passion for creating the safer online world and advocating for mental health and neurodiversity in cybersecurity is truly very inspiring. So before we wrap up, where can our audience connect with you or follow your work?
Absolutely. So you can find me on my website, which is lisaventura.co.uk. Also the Cybersecurity Unity website, which is csu.org.uk. And I'm very active on LinkedIn and Twitter, now X. So you can find me on all those channels.
Thank you again for joining us on the VPNRanks
Thank
podcast.
you. It's been a pleasure.